Ar-Raghib al-Asfahani wants us to understand that debating is very, very problematic and dangerous. He has a chapter titled Discouraging Arguments and Debates Among Laymen in every single situation. Okay, and he says that allowing lay people, people who aren't scholars, allowing them to argue about religious topics and they don't even understand what the evidence is or what's acceptable evidence or non acceptable evidence in the first place, it's like unleashing demons. It's like setting loose Juj and Metjuj. It's a really, really bad idea. Because, as he says, there are predators out there that are waiting for them to do this. Predators that are going to overpower the intellect and the bounds of the Sharia. The predators that he's talking about are the ego and everything that the shaitan incites the ego towards, whether it's pride or rejection of the truth and what have you. And so he argues, he says, Ar-Raghib al-Asfahani, that many scholars have taken the position that debate is disliked even for scholars. So then what about laymen? What about somebody who's not a scholar? In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala condemns argument and debate in the Quran and actually says that one of the more defining features, and this is in the siyaq of them, this is in the sort of context of blame that makes up human beings, is that they are argumentative, jadala. In the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders argument, it's circumscribed, it's not unconditional, it's limited by arguing with that which is better. And so the reasons for avoiding arguing and debate, etc., is because they rarely result in anything good. They rarely result in anything except enmity and rejecting the truth. And the tricky thing about it is that you might think that you're defending Islam. You might think that you're standing up for the truth, but in fact, all you're doing is exercising your own ego and leading yourself down into a place where it's going to be very, very hard for you to turn back and admit that you were wrong. And we see this today with egos on social media. People who style themselves as students of knowledge, but in reality are only social media influencers. And they get up on screen and maybe they get the playbook seems to be to debate some sort of atheist or somebody, ex-Muslim, somebody like this, get a ton of subscribers and views, and then you start debating other Muslims. Well, what do you think is going to happen? You haven't studied the deen properly. Your social media maybe has some sort of financial impact on your life in some sort of way. You have a conflict of interest. How are you going to turn back? How are you going to admit when you were wrong? How are you going to be spoken to in a way that's really going to encourage introspection and muhasabah and sort of taking oneself to account? No, you're only going to go out to prove your own point. You're only going to go out to humiliate others, and it's going to lead you down a very, very dark road.